Welcome to another fun-filled Monday edition of Second City Sports. You're listening to in live and living color right here on Sports Zone Chicago, along with Miss Lakeem McGee, which is she. I am Sydney Brownhead. That's me. You can follow yours truly on the Twitter and the IG at CK80. Once again, at CK80, that's SIDKID80. That's SIDKID80.
You can follow me at Keita McGee on the Twitter and at Keita McGee on the IG.
Make sure you download the Sports Zone Chicago app today. You want to know why? Because we said so, that's why. And also, so you can catch up on other 5 live shows throughout the week. So you happen to miss them, you can go back and watch them and listen to them at your own leisure. Make sure you download that Sports Zone Chicago app today. And speaking of Sports Zone Chicago, make sure you follow them on all social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. And if you want to catch our podcast, you can subscribe to her by subscribing to War on Anchor. We are available on all podcast platforms, including that iHeartRadio app. Make sure you type this in your search engine boxes on those podcast platforms. You ready? WARR on Anchor. Once again, at War on Anchor. And please give War Media a follow at WARR Media on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. And thank you very much in advance for your support.
Like, share, subscribe, and tell your friends.
We are unapologetically fun, and we have very definite opinions. If you have any definite opinions during our 2-hour extravaganza, we call it Sports Talk Radio Show. You can always hit us up at Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook page or Sports Zone Chicago on YouTube. Type in your questions or comments in the comments section. Lakina will get them up on the screen for you. But decide to troll or throw down some hate or just find out at ignorant or ignorant, as you kids would say. I've given Lakina full power to give you fools to barely be a boot.
Bye-bye.
I know when she says that. But before we begin, we must remind you that you can also catch Sports Zone Chicago now available on Roku TV. That's right, Sports Zone Chicago. You can celebrate with the squad and get with the program. Sports Zone Chicago is now on Roku TV. You can catch all of our live shows 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, live and on demand. So no more excuses. Celebrate with the squad. Get with the program. Sports Zone Chicago is on Roku TV. If you have a Roku TV, sports section.
Oh, sorry.
Okay. Yeah, just real quick. If you already have a Roku TV, just hit the sports photo, download Sports Zone Chicago through that avenue. If you don't have a Roku TV, you have some handheld devices sitting around your house, in your car, around your desk at the job. Just download the Roku TV app and then download Sports Chicago through that avenue. So catch Sports Zone Chicago is now available on Roku TV.
A chance to catch and run. Longest completion of the day for the Bears. Off the pump, he'll check it down to the tight end, Komet. And Komet weaves his way up first and goal. Fields on the run. Throwing for the end zone. Komet leaping high. And one rushing touchdown as he takes over on first down. And they give up the middle to Khalil Herbert. And Herbert pushing. Walking today. 2nd and 1. Fields setting up. Looking deep. Komet wide open. He's got it. Cole Komet to the house. 50-yard Bears touchdown. Goff off the play fake. In trouble. Goff is down. Jack Sanborn. And now on 3rd down, Fields will yank it, and there's room to run for Fields. Fields, baby. Turn it on to speed. Fields on the angle, trying to outrace Okuda, and he'll beat him to the goal line for the 3rd and 8. Goff, quick toss at the 30, trying to turn upfield. Khalif Raymond will not get the first down.
And those highlights are courtesy of Fox TV. Kevin Kugler and Mark Sanchez were on the call yesterday, along with hometown girl Laura Okerman, who was working the sidelines. As we discuss, we will discuss the Bears' 31-30 loss to the Detroit Lions. Lakina, I'm not going to sit here and throw a 5-year-old tangent misfit. I'm not going to sit here and say that this Bears team is better than what we thought. I just enjoy watching Justin Fields play. He's our franchise quarterback, and damn it, I support him. But on the flip side, as we discussed on our show on Friday, were we surprised that the Bears could pull off this nonsense of losing to a lesser team? No. The 2 mistakes that came back to haunt them was after that Justin Fields touchdown we just played. Cairo Santos missed the extra point badly. And number 2, and Justin Fields had the pick six that he threw that eventually give the Lions the tie that was eventually to give them the lead to set for them to win the game. Lakina, as we said before, this is a team in transition. This is a team that's growing. But just a couple of concerns that I have for you. Number 1, David Montgomery and Khalil Herbert should have been used more. And looking at the stat sheet, they weren't used more than I thought they were going to be used in terms of carries and yardage. And we talked about that during our preview show on Friday. And number two, here's the thing, Lakina. Number two, something I'll give the Bears defense credit for this. We played it in the highlight package. They said Jared Goff twice. They sacked him twice. You think you'll be able to win those games, correct? It just didn't happen. Also, here's my other concern. It just came to me. Chase Claypool, just 3 targets once again, Lakina. Now, I'm not going to sit here and pound my fist and do this fake outrage, fake anger routine. But we sit here in early December or middle of December, and Chase Claypool, we assume, will be caught up with the playbook, and he's still getting targeted 2 or 3 times a game. It's a problem. It's going to be a problem. But I'm not jumping off the ship just yet.
Well, no, it's what. Look, this game. Look, I'll admit it. I didn't watch much of this game because of the fact that I thought that maybe, just maybe, the Bears wouldn't really have to do too much. And as our buddy Richard Long, what's up, Richard, on YouTube channel, saying Bears doing a low key tank, sitting big receivers. I don't know when to go as far as say they're tanking, but it kind of feels like this is sort of one of those like hot potato type of things. I mean, they were up 24-10, going into the fourth quarter. The Lions would score 21 points. What really started was that pick six by Jeff Okudah from Justin Fields. His first pick six, that he's given up. I mean, look, you're not officially a Bears quarterback unless you give up a pick six. I mean, it's not, that's sort of one of those things where, look, you're now he's in the club now. But look, that was their first pick six. I'm talking about the Lions since 2018. That's how long it's been since they had a pick six. Look, give the Lions credit. I mean, they look, yes, they gave up some big plays. Yes, they gave up a lot of points and a lot of yards, but they stepped up when they needed to. And, it was a fumble there too that they forced, and look, the Lions went down the field. I mean, yeah, they sacked Goff twice, but that defense, but they gave up those big plays late. They still gave up those, minus the pick six, the 14 points, which is the one that ultimately led to that go ahead touchdown. So it's sort of one of those things where you're kind of like, oh, okay, I'm not surprised that the Bears lost this game. I mean, I was hoping that they would find a way to win this, but look, it's the Bears, so I wasn't surprised.
You listen to Second City Sports, the Monday edition. We're live in living color on Sports Zone Chicago. Silly Kid here with you, recapping the 31-30 loss for the Chicago Bears to the Detroit Lions. The Bears are now 3-7 on the year. The Lions improved their record to 3-6. Lakina, a couple of plays that I saw yesterday, there was a telling sign to me, as I told you before we went on the air. I only caught parts of the game. I watched the majority of the fourth quarter via NFL Red Zone. Jalen Johnson, who's supposed to be your best defensive back on the team, he got burned a few times, and that's something that you rarely see from your best defensive player in the secondary. Yes, it happens sometimes, but I saw him get burned a few times. I was like, this is not good. And we talked about the improvements of rookies Kyler Gordon and Jaquan Brisker, but I didn't hear their names too much yesterday. So as we said, Lakina, the Lions secondary was bad coming into yesterday's game, but their Bears secondary took a big chunk of the playbook out of the Lions secondary, and that's the way they played yesterday too. So they weren't good at all.
Well, yeah, I mean that the whole look, Jalen Johnson with Smith and Quinn being gone, Johnson is probably one of your best defenders, and unfortunately he got hammered yesterday, I should say. Yeah, Jack Sanborn got 2 sacks. I mean, but again, that Detroit O-line is terrible, so you really can't. I know people were already like on the Sanborn bandwagon, like, oh, hey, look, we don't need Roquan. We got this guy for like a quarter of the price. I mean, look, it's sort of one of those things where you're like, I'm not surprised that somehow the Bears, found a way to lose it, and they did. It's just at this point, I'm just like, oh, okay, but let's get to the off season. We've seen some of our Facebook and YouTube fans say, well, they are tanking, but you're like, well, maybe they are, maybe they aren't. I mean, look, Claypool didn't have a lot of targets. I mean, isn't that why you gave up a second round pick 4?
Exactly.
So you're like, okay, where is his touches at? I mean, yeah, Cole Kmet, yeah, you're finally using him now, but again, you're not the guy that you gave up, a second round pick for. Like, where's his touches? So it's definitely one of those things where you're kind of like, oh, okay, I'm not surprised. I mean, it's just one of those sort of these are one of those games where it can come to bite you in the butt if you're a Bears fan, and it also just shows that the Bears still got a lot of work to do.
Yeah, if you want to get at us as far as the comment section is concerned, you can always go to Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook page or Sports Zone Chicago on YouTube. Typing in questions or comments in the comment section. Lakina will get the bump on the screen for you. But take a look at some of the numbers for the Bears. And shout out to our guy Money Earning Mount Vernon fairly. Shut up, James. Don't brag about your Lions. LOL. That's we had the last comment up there by James O'Bannon with the smiley face. And Vernon comes back and says, Paul's executing a great plan to tank this season. LOL. And we have one more comment for our guy, Richard Long. Thanks, Richard, for checking in. Conservative Bears coaches banked on the defense when the strength has been their offense. And we've seen that for the last 2 weeks, Richard, that Ryan Poles and crew are building up the offense to put weapons around Justin Fields. And we'll see what Ryan Poles does this offseason to fix this defense. We all know that the defense wasn't as great coming into the season, but we really looking at this defense now is being exposed as it's worse than what it was at the start of the year. So we'll see what Ryan Poles does with that defense going into the offseason. But take a look at some of the key numbers from the Bears from yesterday's loss. Justin Fields, 12 of 20 for 167 yards, a quarterback rating of 99.4. Justin Fields also led the team in rushing with 13 carries, 47 yards, 2 touchdowns, including a long 67-yard TD run as we played in a highlight package early on. Khalil Herbert, 10 carries, 57 yards. David Montgomery, 9 carries for 37 yards. We actually have a tight end, Lakina, for the third straight week. Cole Kmet called 2 TD passes. Yay!
Well, look, I mean, that secondary for the Lions is not very good, so I'm like, I would kind of hold off on that. I mean, maybe they are starting to use them now, but but like I said, again, I don't want to go too much into this game because we got other better games to talk about. But again, look, the Bears found a way to lose, and they did. I mean, look, Fields look good, but that pick six, kind of opened the floodgates for the Lions. So look, give the Lions credit for not backing down. I mean, they were close in a lot of games this year. Their record would be a little bit better had they closed out some games. They were down, they were able to come back, and they could have ran over and ran away and hid, but they didn't. So they came back. That's that Dan Campbell mentality, that Okuda pick six. I think started this thing. And look, I mean, Fields went and said that, hey, I'm not going to do that ever again. I mean, look, you can't really control the best you can do is just hope for the best and such. So we'll see what happens there. Vernon against it has as much a defense as the Chicago State Cougars football team.
I didn't know they had a football team.
well, they're talking about maybe starting a football team, but I think I think he was trying. I think Vernon was trying to kind of be a little bit funny there, but
yeah, we know Vernon.
Yeah, so it didn't land really, Vernon. I'm sorry,
yeah.
but
yeah, go ahead.
Just finish my point here. But look at I mean, if the Bears want to try at least finish strong and and all that, but I know a lot of people want the tank and get improvements on offense and such. Get the defense, get something, but I don't know. It's just now we're getting all these hot takes where is Fields the best QB from the 2021 draft. Good. Guys, can we slow that down, please? I can't deal with this right now.
Yeah, just one last nugget from me as far as this game yesterday. On the flip side for the Detroit Lions, Jared Goff, 113 QB rating. He had 236 yards. He had a touchdown off of 236 passing yards. Jamal Williams, the former Green Bay Packer, he had 16 carries for 59 yards in a go-ahead touchdown. And Amon St. Brown was their leading receiver, 10 catches for 119 yards. And so, like you said, Lakina, they were down for most of the game. The Bears were in control, but their pick six, that's what started the comeback for the Detroit Lions. They took advantage yesterday. So, in the Detroit Lions, congrats to Dan Campbell and Aaron Glenn. I remember you were playing, brother. He's their defensive coordinator with gray hair and all. But congratulations to Detroit Lions. That was their first road win in 2 years.
Yeah, so that's crazy that it's been that long. And look, I mean, we'll see what the Bears do. Can they bounce back against Atlanta? I mean, we'll see what happens. Now, real quick before we we're up against it, but as for the second season, Sports on Sports on Chicago, Cindy Brown, Lakina McGee here, recapping the NFL Week 10. We'll start with, real quick with the Buccaneers Seahawks game. 21-16 win for the Bucs over the Seahawks. Is all the way in Munich, Germany. Of course, if you guys remember that old stadium where the Ryan Fire played, I'm sure you guys probably remember that from the old NFL Europe. Oh my gosh, Tom Brady had two touchdown passes, and Leonard Fournette had a touchdown, rushing touchdown, and Chris Godwin and Julio Jones. Jones had his first touchdown catch of the season as a Buccaneer. So that's there. And also do it with their defense. The defense kind of, held the Seahawks at bay. They really, they got things going. They scored 13 points in the fourth, but the Bucs did just enough to kind of hang on and win it.
Yeah, that Seattle offense didn't come alive to the fourth quarter, scoring 13 points of their own. Geno Smith, he had 2 touchdown passes, but he had a fumble in there as well. The running game for the Seahawks and Kenneth Walker III, they couldn't get going. The Buccaneers scored the majority of their points in the second quarter with 14. Tom Brady had a record of 399 attempts without throwing an interception. He threw his first interception yesterday, which helped the Seahawks to get back in the game. But Chris Godwin, as you mentioned, he had the go-ahead touchdown for Tampa Bay late, and Rachaad White, who had the rookie running back, he had 22 carries for 105 yards. That's what really kept the Tampa Bay offense in balance, and that's how they helped them hold out Seattle yesterday. I watched the majority of that game. Tampa Bay was in control, especially defensively. Finally, you saw their defense start to play like it had potential, like they did a couple years ago when they won the whole shebang. So Tom Brady, I said last week with the Rams victory, could be the start of something big. Now they won their last 2 games. Let's see if they can keep it going. Seattle, if you're a Seattle fan, of course, you're not happy about yesterday's loss, but you're still in partial control of that NFC West. And we'll get to the rest of that division on the flip side of this break.
Yeah, because there are a couple of teams in that division that might have some. Well, there's one team they may have something to say about that with the Seahawks, especially after this loss yesterday. So we're taking a really quick break. We're gonna talk more NFL Week 10, also our studs and duds, also a big game in the NFC East. Monday Night Football tonight. We'll have all that and more coming next. Lakina McGee, Cindy Brown, Second City Sports on Sports Zone Chicago. More NFL talk right after this.
This year, my mom got me the perfect bag for back to school.
These colorful binders help me stay organized.
These headphones are just what I need for studying.
These new sneakers are just what I need for the new year.
This jacket is a real must-have.
My parents got me the skateboard I wanted. It's pretty cool.
These scissors really come in handy in art class. These colored pencils, too.
These new socks, they can be a real lifesaver.
And I finally got my own phone to stay in touch with my mom.
Trisha's having a sleepover tonight. Can I go?
I wonder about Lucy's friends. What should I say? I know you're only 10, but one of these days a friend will offer you a drink. And alcohol at your age can lead to so many things. None of them good.
So can I go to the sleepover?
Lucy, I want you to promise me
I
something.
finished my homework.
Bigger promise. If there's any drinking, I want you to say, "No thanks, not my thing."
Mom.
I promise you, your real friends won't care. Deal?
Sure.
Really?
I promise, Mom.
They really do hear you.
Did you pack your toothbrush?
For tips on how to start the talk, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov. A public service message from the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration.
Hey, this is Dr. J, and I listen to Sean and Maya in the morning.
Welcome back to Second City Sports, the Monday edition. We're live in living color right here on Sports Zone Chicago. I'm Sid Deslakina. You can get at me on the Twitter and the IG at CK80. Once again, at CK80. That's SIDKID80. SIDKID80.
You can follow me at Keenan McGee on the Twitter and at Keenan McGee on the IG.
We continue our football power hour. If you want to get at us via the comment section, you can go to Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook page or Sports Zone Chicago on YouTube. Type in your questions or comments in the comments section. Lakina will get them up on the screen for you. Thank you, Richard Long, for checking in once again. He says, I'm assuming he's talking about the Bears, need a wide open office to make up for the New York D. Scare money, don't make money. Thanks for checking in, Richard, for that comment. Now we continue on with our Week 10 review from yesterday. Let's start off Lakina in Buffalo, New York, in Orchard Park. The NFL Game of the Year took place yesterday as the Minnesota Vikings come from behind to defeat the Buffalo Bills 33-30. I was watching the majority of this game live in its entirety via this computer screen. And I understood that most of you guys across the country, including here in Chicago, in that conclusion, that Bears-Lions game, got the chance to watch the end of that fourth quarter in overtime, and which was a very eventful football game. Kirk Cousins for the Vikings, 30 of 50, 357 yards in a touchdown pass. Dalvin Cook, 14 carries, 119 yards in a touchdown. And my guy, Mr. Giddy, Justin Jefferson for the Vikings, 10 catches, 193 yards in a touchdown.
This was probably like one of the craziest games you'll probably see so far this season. And then, they can't, but then there was, they thought that Buffalo had the control of it by the second half. And then the Vikings came back, and then you thought the Vikings were in control of winning it. Then they stopped short of the goal line, and Joseph missed the extra point. That's why they needed a touchdown to win. And then all the other stuff, all the crazy started happening. You thought that maybe that the Vikings were going to win it, but then they fall short at the 1 foot line. Then at the 1 foot line, Josh Allen in his center, fumbled the ball in the end zone. They got the touchdown there. And then you thought that maybe
how can you screw that up?
Yeah, then the Bills came back, went down the field and forced it to overtime thanks to Tyler Bass's field goal. But then you thought that maybe the Vikings would get the field goal. Just not that down. Then you thought that maybe the Bills were going down the field, and then you thought that maybe they're going to go get a touchdown, perhaps maybe force extend the overtime. Then Allen throws a very probably ill-advised pass, and Patrick Peterson gets his second interception of the day. And that basically is it for them. And as Hall of Famer Chris Carson, of course, Vikings legend said, okay, the Vikings got their signature win now. Everyone can be quiet now.
You got that right. And speaking of the Vikings, Justin Jefferson, in my opinion, he had 6 big catches in the fourth quarter in overtime, 3 on that final drive before Josh Allen and crew fumbled that snap which could have sealed the game. Did you catch that fourth down catch, Lakina, coming out of the 2-minute warning? That's probably the best catch I've seen in the NFL this year. He held it, cradled it. The defender was all over it, held on, and made a tremendous catch. And of course, he had a couple more in overtime. But going back to Josh Allen, Lakina, you talked about the interception in overtime, which sealed it for the Vikings. I want to go back to that interception he threw that was intended for Dawson Knox in that fourth quarter.
Yeah.
He was chasing down a defender, and Darryl Moose Johnson pointed it out on the Fox broadcast yesterday. You have an injured elbow. Why are you going after the defender? If you get serious, he was down for a few minutes, and thank goodness he was okay. Yeah. But why are you doing that? You're the whole team. You're the franchise. I understand you want to make the play. You're trying to make up for that bad throw you had, but you have a bad arm. Why are you going after the defender, going after the ball? That is not smart.
No, it's not. And Patrick Peterson, even though he's like 32 now, but he's still pretty fast. So that trying to catch that was just not a good look. And unfortunately for Josh Allen, he kind of tends to make these kinds of ill-advised throws and such. I don't know if he was trying to throw it to Diggs or Knox, or I don't know who was over there that he was trying to throw it to. That the second time that Peterson picked it up.
I also Gabriel Davis. That was the one in overtime. Yeah. He was trying to throw to Gabriel Davis, who was in the back of the end zone.
Yeah, but he was all the way over there. Yeah, but I think Peterson, if you saw the replay, he saw that right away. So that's why he was able to step in front of it and got that pick to seal it. So, look, Vikings get their signature win, and Bills are 6-3, but you can tell that Allen's not 100%. So this might be something to look out for the rest of the season.
Yeah, the Vikings improved their record to 8-1. The Bills dropped to 6-3. To Nashville, Tennessee, we go next, where the Titans eke out a 17-10 win over the Denver Broncos. Wilson, 21-42, 286 yards and a touchdown. Derrick Henry, only 19 carries for 53 yards for the Titans. But their big wide receiver, Mr. Nick Westbrook Inkline, had 5 catches, 119 yards, in both Titans touchdowns.
Didn't really have to do too much for the Titans. I mean, look, Derrick Henry didn't get the ball too much. You wonder why he didn't get the ball a little bit more. Didn't take advantage of that rush defense. That's not very good. With the Chiefs. But look, I mean, Tannehill his first game back got 2 touchdown passes and whatnot. The defense did what they had to do to try to stop it. Russell Wilson had an ill-advised interception, and he was also sacked 6 times. So the defense for the Titans did their job. So I don't know. Like I said, we said it on Friday too. I have no clue why this game was the hot pick. People were picking the Broncos, so I don't know what happened there, but they're
not that good. That's what happened.
No, they're not. And then look, that we saw that again on yesterday.
Mm-hmm. To Arrowhead Stadium, we go next in Kansas City, where the Chiefs eked out a 27-17 win over the Jacksonville Jaguars. Patrick Mahomes, 26-35, 331 yards and 4 touchdown passes. And Christian Kirk for the Jacksonville Jaguars had 9 receptions for 105 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Again, not pretty, but look, they did just enough to win that game. And look, the Jaguars, kept it close for a little bit. You thought that maybe they had a shot at it, but by the second half, things started kind of, the Chiefs kind of started kicking into gear. Trevor Lawrence was sacked 5 times, so that old line for the Jaguars didn't do him any favors. Look, Mahomes, 4 touchdown passes. Okay, ho hum. I know Chiefs fans was like, well, look, now we're the number 1 seed in the AFC right now. With the Bills losing. So, Chiefs is like, Chiefs Twitter. I tell you, it's just it's just annoying. But you've got some pretty tough matchups coming up, Kansas City. So you got your own issues to deal with too with some of these matchups you got coming up.
Yeah, the Chiefs improved their record to 7-2. The Jaguars fall to 3-7. To South Beach we go, where the Miami Dolphins dominated the Cleveland Browns 39-17. Tua Tagovailoa 25-32, 285 yards and 3 touchdowns. Jabril Wilson, the new running back for the Miami Dolphins, 17 carries, 119 yards in the score. And Donovan Peoples-Jones for the Browns, 5 catches for 99 yards.
Yeah, I mean, look. Again, we know that that Browns team, they're 3-6 right now. They just aren't. I know people want to say, when Deshaun Watson comes back, they're going to be better. He actually is now cleared to practice. So, but they just aren't that good. I mean, Nick Chubb, rushed the ball for 63 yards and a touchdown, and unfortunately, they just couldn't get it going on offense. And the Dolphins were just a touchdown machine. I mean, Tua had 3 touchdowns. Jeff Wilson Jr., Raheem Mostert combined for 2 touchdowns. So. It's sort of one of those things where, like I said, they're 7-3. Look, I don't know if they're going to win that division. There might be an opening for them, but they're looking pretty good right now under new coach Mike McDaniel.
And also, too, the defense turned up yesterday, sacked Jacoby Brissett a couple of times. So maybe we're seeing the things coming to form finally from the Miami Dolphins after those acquisitions at the trade deadline a couple of weeks ago. To New York City, we head next, where the New York Giants hang on for a 24-16 win over Lovie Smith's Houston Texans. Davis Mills for the Texans, 22-37, 319 yards and a late touchdown pass. Saquon Barkley, nice to see him back on the stat sheet again. 35 carries, 152 yards and a touchdown. And Darius Slayton for the New York Giants, 3 catches for 95 yards and a score.
Yeah, Giants really had to hang on in this game. You're looking for them. They were playing the Texans. They struggled for a little bit. Of course, you're going to show a little bit of rust coming off a bye. But again, they got things going in the second half. Of course, Jones had 2 touchdown passes. Saquon Barkley, another big, showing for him, 152 yards and a touchdown. Darius Slayton had a touchdown catch for the Giants too. So yeah, they really didn't have to do. They really had to hang on. So they're at 7-2 as well. But you wonder. The fact that they benefited from having to play a Texans team that's not very good. And, of course, Barkley got his rushing yards.
And you would think that I was watching just a little bit of this game via NFL Red Zone, and you figured that the New York Giants, like you said, they got it going in the second half, scoring 20 of their 24 points. You would think they were playing down to their competition just a little bit. We know that Houston Texans, a team, they lean on their defense, but I kind of got the sense just a little bit that the Giants were playing down to their competition.
Brian Dable, you saw on the sidelines, wasn't very happy after that poor showing in the early in the second quarter. So maybe that vitamin it, who knows? But maybe they did, but they're now look, they're gonna get their best shot out of everybody they play from now until the end of the season. So no one expected the Giants to be this good at 7-2. So we'll see if they really are for real.
And to the last of the early games, the Pittsburgh Steelers improved their record to 3-6 after dominating the New Orleans Saints 20-10. Mr. Pickett, not Wilson Pickett, but Kenny Pickett, the Pittsburgh's quarterback, was 18-30 for 199 yards. Najee Harris, 20 carries for 99 yards for the Steelers, and Deontay Johnson, 4 catches for 63 yards.
Talk about a team that might be tanking. I think the Saints might be tanking too. Andy Dalton threw two interceptions and such, and was only sacked twice. But Pickett actually can bounce back from being sacked 6 times. So his own line really didn't do too much there either. But he did get a rushing touchdown, threw for 199 yards. George Pickens had a rushing touchdown. So again, not the best game. I didn't watch a single minute of this game because I knew that the Steelers were going to win this. But and I really again wasn't pretty. But you take the win if you're Mike Tomlin and the Steelers.
Yeah, the only clips I saw of that game live was via NFL Red Zone, via my television. So me and you in the same boat. You listen to Second City Sports on Chicago, the Monday edition. We're live and live in color. I'm Sid. That's Lakina as we recap Week 10 from the NFL. Let's go to the late games, Lakina. Let's start in Las Vegas, Nevada. Jeff Saturday, as of right now, he's the smartest guy in the room. That's because in his coaching debut, since leaving ESPN to take the head coaching job of the Indianapolis Colts, he gets his first win of the season, defeating the Las Vegas Raiders on the road, 25-20. Derek Carr for the Raiders, 24-38, 248 yards and 2 touchdowns. Jonathan Taylor ran the ball hard for the Horseshoes, 22 times for 147 yards in the score. Devontae Adams for Las Vegas, 9 catches, 126 yards and a touchdown.
Yeah, the first I think since Jim Caldwell in 2009 that won in his debut, coach with the Colts. So congrats to Saturday for that one. Matt Ryan, I didn't know he had wheels because he had a 39-yard scamper that set up the game-winning touchdown for the Colts. So
yeah, that's why we've been sitting for a couple of weeks.
keep the drive going there. But 22 yards for him, and also to a touchdown pass. Jonathan Taylor, 147 yards and a touchdown. Paris Campbell had a touchdown, that touchdown catch from Ryan. So the defense, did what they had to do late in that game. Stephon Gilmore, remember him, folks? He stopped. I think that was Devontae Adams from that fourth down. It was a nice, well defended. So that was a nice showing there. But look, could the Colts right the ship? I mean, that's still. Look, I mean that AFC South is still pretty, up for grabs still. They're 4-5-1. So 2 or 3 of the division, so we'll see what happens there.
Yep. To Green Bay, Wisconsin, we go next, where America's Game of the Week took place. It was the Green Bay Packers. As I told you on Friday's show, if you listen closely, the Green Bay Packers eked out a 31-28 win in overtime. The Cowboys scored 14 points in the second quarter, 14 points in the third quarter. Dak Prescott had 3 touchdown passes, over 265 yards passing, but he threw 2 bad interceptions. Aaron Jones ran the ball hard for the Chiefs, folks, 24 times, 138 yards and a touchdown. CeeDee Lamb, well, unfortunately, I benched yesterday in my fantasy league. Don't get at me. He had 11 catches for 150 yards and 2 touchdowns. Lakina, I kind of figured we kind of predicted what was going to happen on Friday. I didn't think this would be this high scoring of a game, but I said the Packers somehow, some way, they were going to find a way to win this ball game. They did, coming back from a 28-14 deficit. Aaron Rodgers may have found his new target, Mr. Christian Watson, who had 3 touchdown catches himself. The Dallas Cowboys gambled on the 4th down play in overtime. It backfired on them, and the Packers were able to get that game-winning field goal thanks to Mason Crosby.
Yeah, Watson is the first Packers rookie with 2 receiving touchdowns in the game. You got going back to Keith Woodside. Remember that name said back in 1988. Both of both of Watson's TDs
made me feel old.
Yeah, right. The throws, but 20 plus yards in the air. The last Packer with 2 receiving touchdowns of 2+ yards in the air was Jordy Nelson, in 2014. Of course, that was a 55-14 victory over the Bears. Sorry. Also, Watson, also the first Packers were 100 receiving yards and 3 receiving touchdowns in the game since James Lofton did it all the way back in 1978. Of course, now he works at CBS and also a Hall of Famer, Mr. Lofton. He's also the first rookie to record 3 receiving touchdowns in a game against the Packers since Randy Moss did in 1998, I should say. That's a Thanksgiving Day game. Remember that one? So, oh boy. And of course, Rudy Ford had 2 interceptions in that game yesterday. First guy to do that since Clint Dix did in 2016 against the Colts. Ford only had 1 career interception, coming into yesterday's game. So he made up for that, no doubt. Also to Mike McCarthy's return to Lambeau, that was just a weird, because they were the Cowboys were 180-0 all time and leading by 14 points through 3 quarters, including the playoffs. They were 195-0 all time. So I don't know what was going on that mindset. Dak threw some pretty bad. The first one to Ford was just terrible. Like I don't know if Lamb misses his assignment or whatever. But also why did they go for it on 4th down in overtime? Just take the points and then force the Packers to try to get the field goal. Like that 4th quarter, you saw McCarthy just throw his headset down afterwards. It was just it wasn't pretty. But look, people have been saying that the Packers could just need that little spark. We'll see if this win gives them that spark. They're 4-6. They're probably not going to win the division, but they still got a shot at a wild card. They're right in the hunt. So could this be the thing that helped them turn the quarter? We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, the Packers are 4-6 overall after yesterday, 3-2 at home. The Cowboys dropped to 6-3. They're 2-2 away from Jerry's World. Remember, I told you on Friday, Lakina, Dallas is around this time is due for a bad loss. Let's see how they rebound next week, because they clearly gave that game away yesterday. And Fox's other America's game of the week, it was nothing but a dud if you're an LA Rams fan. That's because the Arizona Cardinals defeated the Rams in Los Angeles at SoFi Stadium 27-17. Colt McCoy, who replaced the injured Kyler Murray, he was 26-37, 238 yards and a touchdown. James Conner ran the ball hard for the Birds 21 times for 69 yards and 2 touchdowns. And DeAndre Hopkins, for the Cardinals, 10 catches for 98 yards. Lakeem, I know you're going to dive into this a little bit in a minute, but there was a couple of injuries on the Rams front. We told you about Matthew Stafford on Friday. He was a concussion protocol. He was not activated in time for the game yesterday. Cooper Kupp, their star wide receiver, perhaps their best player outside of the defensive tackle, Aaron Donald. He was injured late in that game yesterday. He could be out for the year. What's the latest you have?
Yeah, there hasn't really been an update. They're practicing right now as we speak. I'm talking about the Rams. So, I know Sean McVay said it like after that game yesterday. It looks bad. So, we'll see. But look, Christine and I, our girl Christine Mack from KSRB, we both picked the Cardinals. Sid decided to pick the Rams, and now
because I thought Stafford was going to play. That's the only reason why.
Well, yeah, and plus when news came out that Stafford was going to be out. Yeah, Christine and I texted me and said, yeah, I think Sid's going to lose this one. And sure enough, because look, you trust Colt McCoy than you do John Wolford. I mean, no shade to him. He did pretty well in the game they played a couple years back that sealed them a playoff spot. But unfortunately, look, Colt McCoy had a touchdown, and look, they're 4-6. The Cardinals are, and I'm not saying they have a shot, but they're starting to get a little healthy, especially that old line. So Bubba Baker had an interception, that sets up that drive that kind of put the game away for the Cardinals. So yeah, I kind of kept this game in the background. Didn't really watch it too much because I figured and sure enough, it was a dud. So the Cardinals is just enough to win that game, win this game. But I mean, I think they're 4-6, so they're still right there in the hunt. I mean, they were able to kind of do pretty well without Murray with that hamstring injury. So. We'll see. But unfortunately, Zach Ertz, he's going to be done for a few weeks.
Yeah, he got injured too. Yeah. Yeah. He was carted off the field yesterday. So we'll see what happens with him. Shout out to our guy, Mr. Jason Palmer. You can catch him and his cousin, Lancey Irvin on What's Up Cuz tonight at 6 p.m. right here on Sports Zone Chicago. Of course, Jason Palmer is giving a shout out to his Miami Dolphins. Yeah, they're 73 right now with Buffalo losing. You guys are in the driver's seat for the AFC East title. I know you got to play Buffalo one more time in Buffalo in a few weeks, so we'll see what the Dolphins are made of. But I will say this, the Dolphins are a playoff team. Are they division champions? that's still up in the air, but you guys are definitely a playoff team if you can stay healthy. Let's review one more game, Lakina, and that was the Sunday night affair where the 49ers are over 500 for the first time in a long time. They defeated the Los Angeles Chargers, or we call them the San Diego Chargers of Los Angeles on this show, 22-16. Jimmy Garoppolo, was 19 of 28 for 240 yards. Elijah Mitchell ran the ball hard for the 49ers, 18 times for 89 yards. Brandon Ayuk had 6 catches for 84 yards for the 49ers.
Yeah, I saw a little bit this game too. Of course, it was a Sunday nighter. Again, it was back and forth for a little bit. The Chargers took control for a little bit. You thought that maybe they were up 16-10 at halftime, but they couldn't get anything going on offense. The 49ers, did just enough to win that game. Christian McCaffrey had a rushing touchdown in that game. Really didn't have to do too much. I mean, look, Jimmy G, 240 yards, nothing really much to write home about. I know Justin Herbert got banged up. Chase Allen had to come in for a little bit. He got sacked in the first play of the series. But look, I mean, again, not pretty, but look, the defense had 3 sacks. Maybe look, I think the 49ers are 5-4 right now, so. I don't know. They may have a shot at winning that division. They won that first meeting against the Seahawks, so that could be very interesting there. We'll see what happens there. But I know they got the Cardinals on next Monday night. So,
isn't that for Mexico City? I think.
Yes, it is. So that should be a fun one. Hopefully, everybody will be healthy for that one because I really want an offensive shootout there. But yeah, I mean the 49ers. I should say. I mean they might be right there for that division too.
Yep, we'll see what happens. Now, before we get to our Monday night preview, let's get our studs and duds out the way. We'll start out with our studs. I have 3 of them. Obviously, Christian Watson, 3 touchdown catches for the young wide receiver from the Green Bay Packers, and then win in overtime over Dallas. I also have Saquon Barkley as my second stud for the New York Giants, 35 carries for 152 yards and a touchdown with the Giants' victory over the Texans. And my third stud will be Mr. Jonathan Taylor, the running back for the Indianapolis Colts, to help Jeff Saturday pick up his first win ever as head coach with the Colts' 25-20 victory over the Raiders. Jonathan Taylor, 22 carries, 147 yards, and a touchdown.
Okay, I'll have Tampa as my first studs. I mean, they picked their first international win after losing their first 3 games outside the U.S. Tom Brady's also now the first NFL player to win a game in 4 countries in the U.S., the U.K., Mexico, and now Germany. Shout out to Matt Bushman, of course, who's the one of the coaches for the Blue Jays. Of course, his wife Sarah Walsh works for the NFL Network. He actually posted something early this morning about of course, you guys remember he caught the home run ball from Aaron Judge at number 61. And he said he should have caught it. And remember Tom Brady's single again. I'm sure he's just being tongue in cheek about it.
Yeah,
but that was pretty funny. Let's check out his tweet if you want to. Rudy Ford, since you got Christian Watson, I'll do Rudy Ford. Had 2 interceptions. You only had 1 going into the day. This is his 5th year, so nice showing by him to kind of keep those balls at bay. And I'll say Minnesota. I mean, look, they got their signature win finally, and people were already, kind of like saying that they're not for real or whatever. But look, I mean, from Justin Jefferson's crazy catch to the defense taking advantage of that fumble to Patrick Peterson's 2 interceptions. So yeah, those are my 3 studs.
And I want to give a bonus stuff to a friend of the show, Miss Dawn Mitchell, who used to work here in Chicago, CLTV. She works for Fox 9 in the Twin Cities in Minneapolis, Minnesota. She lost her voice last week, and so she barely got through their pre- and post-game shows. But yesterday, she sounded great. I know sometimes those things happen. Thank goodness it hasn't happened to me as an adult. It happened to me when I was real little years ago. But she lost her voice last week. Yesterday, she sounded great. I tweeted out a picture to her, and she said thanks. And she sounds great. I know she was happy covering a very happy and chaotic locker room for the Vikings yesterday following that overtime win.
Oh yeah, I know they were dancing all over that place in that locker room.
Yes, if you saw the pictures on social media.
Yeah, also too, I want to get a bonus up to the Colts. I mean, look, for Matt Ryan, Chanley is in Michael Vick, with the 39 yards scamper that helped set up that game winner, and then Stephon Gilmore basically getting the best of Devontae Adams and that touchdown that would have been the game winning touchdown for the Raiders. So yeah, look, like I said, the AFC South, I mean, that could be right there, perhaps even a playoff spot. So we'll see.
Yep, we'll see. Our duds, our three duds. I'll give mine quickly. Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills. Number 2, the New Orleans Saints. And number 3, the Dallas Cowboys, blowing that 28-14 lead, including that fourth down call in overtime. Bad.
Also, the Bears as my dud. Nicely
You
done
don't
there.
say.
Yeah, very Bearsy way.
Shocking.
Yeah, very Bearsy way to lose that game. I'll just leave it at that. Let's see who else. The Rams. It looks like that, with especially with Cooper Kupp, like he's done for the year at the very least. Well, I don't think they still. I don't think they still have it yet, but it looks like might.
They
be
won't
done
make the playoffs.
Yeah, so that might be it for the defending Super Bowl champs. And I'll say Dallas too. I mean, like, I don't know what happened there. I mean, from Dak's 2 ill-advised picks to going for 4 on 4th down instead of taking the field goal. I don't know why they did that, but okay. But those are my 3 duds.
All right, where we have a couple of minutes left. I know we're up against it, but tonight's Monday Night Football game will take place in our nation's capital between the Philadelphia Eagles, who are holding the league's best record at 8-0. They'll face the Washington Commanders. Oh, actually, it takes place in Philadelphia.
They'll say the Commanders on field. Yeah, I'm about to
yeah,
say, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sorry. It's the opening game took place in our nation's capital weeks ago. But tonight it'll be in Philadelphia. The 8-0 Eagles will host the 4-5 Washington Commanders at 7:15 on ESPN. No Manning cast tonight, so just a reminder for you. I know. But the Eagles are 11-point favorites, so over/under total is 43.5. Lakina, I think the Eagles will win this game, but I don't think it's going to be a complete runaway. I don't.
Yeah, I mean, look, if they can, kind of force Hurts to throw it, and perhaps maybe not use his legs and probably have him force some things, throw some interceptions, maybe they might have a shot. If you're the Eagles, you want to try and sort of like tame Taylor Heineke. It's going to be very interesting to see if they can do that. I mean, look, if you're the Eagles, I mean, you just don't want to mess it up. I mean, you've had some extra time and such to set it up. You already won the first meeting against the Commanders a few weeks back, so
that's what Carson Wentz was at to him. So things are different this time around.
Well, and plus, but also to remember that this might be interesting and note that maybe the defense will probably be more into get Heineke to make mistakes. So this will be interesting to see what happens in this game. But we'll see if the Commanders get their revenge or if the Eagles can sweep the season series.
Yeah, for that Washington Commanders defense, like you said, just keep Jalen Hurts in the pocket, which it seems like it's impossible to do so far this year the way he's played. And you got to run the ball hard with Robinson and I forgot who the other running back is who's escaping me for the moment, but they got to run the ball.
For the Eagles?
No, for Washington. Antonio Gibson, Antonio Gibson. It's got to be a collective effort, and they got to stay disciplined and no dumb penalties, especially if Jalen Hurts decides to run out the pocket, no illegal hits. Just stay within your game plan. Like I said, force a couple of turnovers, and you'll be able to perhaps sneak out with the win. But it's going to be very difficult. I have Philadelphia winning this game, but I think it's going to be tougher than what people think. So I don't know if they're going to win by 11 points, but I think Philadelphia still win the ball game tonight.
All right, you get to catch that game on ESPN at 7:15. Of course, again, no Manning cast, so you'll be okay. Hour number 1 in the books. Hour number 2 coming up. Of course, we'll have the Bulls. The Bulls lose a tough one to the Nuggets, and also to the crazy weekend in the NBA. Also, we got college football, week 11. Some interesting surprises there, and also old school TV Monday. So a lot to do still. Hour number 2 coming up. Lakina McGee, Cindy Brown, Second City Sports on Sports Zone Chicago. It's going to talk some NBA right after this.
No, I don't know though. I'm scared. I mean, you're so
Do you know that you're in my lane? No, not at all. Are you not paying attention? Are you texting? I was just checking in with my mom. I was telling her that I thought we'd be home by 6. It's okay. There's enough time. Just pay attention. I'm not even halfway through my text. There's no way. I'm not even going to look up. My babies are in the car. You have to pay attention. It's just supposed to be a quick text. I'm so sorry.
Hi, I'm Tom Brady, the director of DODEA. September is National Suicide Prevention and Awareness Month. The simple act of reaching out and caring for those in our communities is something we all can do. Just being there for someone you care about can be a tremendous first step in getting them access to confidential resources and support that they need. It only takes one person and one small act and 1 minute to make a difference. Let's make a difference.
Many will hear the calling. Few will earn the title. United States Marine. The few, the proud, the Marines.
Welcome back to hour number 2 of Second City Sports, the Monday edition. We're live in living color right here on Sports Zone Chicago. I'm Sid. That's Lakina. You can follow yours truly on the Twitter and the IG at SidKid80. Once again, at SidKid80. That's SIDKID80. That's SIDKID80.
And you can follow me at Keenan McGee on the Twitter and at Keenan McGee on the IG.
And if you have any questions or comments for us during our now 1 hour extravaganza, we call it Sports Star Radio Show, you can always get it at us via the comment section at Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook page or Sports Zone Chicago on YouTube. Type in your questions or comments in the comments section. Lakino will get the up on the screen for you. And just a daily reminder that you actually now catch Sports Zone Chicago is now available on Roku TV. Lakina, hour number 2, we're kicking it off by discussing the Chicago Bulls in the NBA at large. The Bulls, after being off for 4 or 5 days, it seemed like a week, but they had a piss poor effort against one of the best teams in the NBA, the Denver Nuggets, going down to Denver at the UC last night by the score of 126-103. DeMar DeRozan had 16 points. Zach LaVine had 21. Nikolai Vucevic, Lakina's guy, 9.6 rebounds. And off the bench, Goran Dragic had 11 points. Andre Drummond had 13 points and 11 rebounds. Lakina, it was just that simple. The Bulls did not bring the intensity last night, especially on the defensive end. In Denver, sometimes teams have those nights where they shoot the ball hot from the outside. That's what happened to Denver last night. And Nikola Jokic didn't have his best game in terms of scoring. He had 14 assists for the entire game for him. But Michael Porter Jr. did damage. Jamal Murray, my guy, did some damage. And Bruce Brown, the former Brooklyn Net, did his damage off the bench with 12 points. Lakina, it was just a piss poor effort defensively for the Bulls last night. No, I'm not jumping off the bandwagon saying this team is going to be bad and blah, blah, blah. But it was just a bad showing by the Bulls last night. Clearly their worst game of the year.
And for anybody that wants to jump off that bandwagon, don't bother getting back on. Get off of it. 60% from the field for the Nuggets shot. I mean, look, the Nuggets, when they're healthy, they're like one of the best teams in the league. Michael Porter Jr., that's a season high for him, 31 points. 23 points for Jamal Murray. He's starting to kind of get it going after coming back from all of last season with the ACL surgery. 8 points for Jokic. Look, that's what they did. Yeah, Jokic didn't have his best game this season, but other guys stepped up. Mm-hmm. Now, for anybody that wants to sort of go there and say, yeah, it was a bad effort, yeah. And shout out to our guys, Big Dave Watson and Matt Peck from CHGO Bulls. They said the same thing. They said, look, these things, in a long NBA season, these things happen. You're going to have games where the shooting gets hot. look, Denver's 9-4 for a reason, folks. They're one of the best teams in the league. They probably could be one of the favorites if they stay healthy. Yeah, okay, yeah. Okay, yeah, DeRozan, had 18 points. Yes, all the Vucevic is back. He only had 9 points. Yeah, Io had his worst game of the year with 7 points. Look, they had contributions on the bench. Look, Andre Drummond looked like he started to get going. 13 points and whatnot. Look, yeah, they need to work on not having a bad start in the first quarter. Okay, okay. Look, we all admit that. Look, they didn't have the best first quarter. I think that's what did them in. But look, we have a hot shooting team. These things happen. So for anybody that wants to jump off the bandwagon, stay off of it. Because I'm sick and tired of Bulls Twitter. I'm going to talk to you, Bulls Twitter. For saying, oh, well, trade everybody. Get rid of Vooch. Get rid of DeRozan. Get DeRozan from LeBron and such. Stop. All right? Stop it. Just stop. All right? Carry on, Sid.
If you're fired up about the Bulls, just like Lakina is here, you can go to Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook page or Sports Zone Chicago on YouTube. Type in your questions and comments in the comment section. Lakina will get them up on the screen for you. A couple of positives, if there were any, that came out of last night's game. Goran Dragic did his thing once again, coming off the bench with the 11 points. I know Javonte Green didn't do much last night, but I still believe that he's going to be okay. Patrick Williams, his performance gets lost in the sauce because the Bulls were behind the majority of the game. But in 30 minutes of action, he had 15 points and 4 rebounds. He's starting to get it together offensively. Lakina being more aggressive, taking the ball to the basket. I know he still settles in for that outside shot, particularly the 3-point shot every once in a while. But I like how his game is aggressive going to the basket. I still like for him to improve a little bit more defensively, but at least offensively, his game is serviceable enough that it can help this Bulls team.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think he could definitely help once he gets that shooting streak going. He's starting to kind of do it a little bit, but I think he'll be just fine once he gets that jump shot going. I think he wants to also start shooting more from 3, which is good for him and such. Look, Dragic had 11 points, so like he started to kind of looking pretty good too. So look, yes, that wasn't a good defense ever. Yes, the Nuggets shot the ball lights out. Okay, fine. But again, for anybody that wants to jump off the Bulls bandwagon, like not knowing, some certain people are being so very hot ticky lately. So like, just stop. That's why I stay off of Bulls Twitter, because it's annoying as hell. Now we'll see if the Bulls can bounce back. Excuse me. Look, they're 6-8. Okay, yeah, it's not. They're 2 games under 500. Oh, okay, fine. They play the Pelicans. Hopefully, they get there in a couple of days. Hopefully, they can get their revenge there, because they should have won that game last week against the Pelicans because of certain calls and such. But that's a whole different situation there. But yeah, look, we're not even a third of the season yet. People are already like panicking and giving up and such. Stop. All right. This is Second City Sports on Chicago. Lakina McGee, City Brown talking some Bulls and NBA here. Sports on Chicago.
Yeah, I want to ask you about a couple of players before we move on to the NBA at large. So, what do you think about Io DeSumo's performance so far this year? And do you think the struggles of Alex Caruso, especially offensively, will continue?
Yeah, I hope also Caruso. I think Caruso will get it together. I mean, look, he's more of like a defensive guy, sort of like that sort of like that pain in the neck, defensive guy. They're on you. Unfortunately, he's been fouled a lot, so he's been called for fouls a lot, so that hasn't helped him in that front. But hopefully, he can get it going, get his shooting streak going. As for Io, I mean, look, last night's game, I should say, was not his best game of the year. He'll tell you that. And look, I'm sure he'll only get better. He's starting to kind of see a little bit of flashes and stuff. So just shoot the ball better. I think he'll be fine as well.
Yeah, as far as my observation on those two players, like I said, Caruso, like I said, keep up with that defensive intensity. I know we talk about the referees being ticky-tacky right there, calling certain fouls and whatnot, but I still like his aggression on the defensive end along with Javonte Green. But hopefully offensively he can pick it back up, so they'll bring his confidence up even more, so he can be that all-around player that the Bulls need. As far as Ayu, I've been, and no one's perfect, but I've been fine with this performance so far this year, stepping in that starting lineup in place of Lonzo Ball. He's been doing good. As we said last year, Lakina, all the extra playing time that he got last year, it was going to benefit him come playoff time, and it did. It seems like over the summer we heard about him working out, putting on some weight, working on his shot. It's starting to pay off now so far as we are officially 1 month into the season. Let's not forget, they're doing this without Kobe White, who missed his 7th straight game last night because of injury.
Yeah, he's working out right now, so hopefully he can be back by, the swell has gone down that quad, so hopefully he can get it going. I think he's going to be resistance. He probably won't play in that game on Wednesday against the Pelicans, but hopefully he can be back before the next week or two, because they really do need him.
Yes. To the NBA at large, we'll flip it and reverse it, as Missy Elliott would say. Starting out with last night's games, the Timberwolves defeated the Cleveland Cavaliers 129 to 124. But all-star point guard for the Cavaliers, Darius Garland, had a career high 51 points.
Yeah, that was a nice showing for him. And look, I saw a little bit of this game, and look, on a losing effort for Garland, because he had been out the last, the first couple weeks of the season, so he's starting to kind of get it going there. Now, like I said, I have my druthers about Cleveland. I think they don't have, but they're not very good in the interior defense either, like the Bulls. So it's going to be very interesting to see if they can keep it up. I mean, like I don't know what's going to happen there, but Garland, he's a nice player to hit the 7-point mark, also too, with like 10 threes. He had like 10 threes, in that, but he was able to, unfortunately it was a losing effort, but that was actually a good game yesterday. The T-Wolves, were able to hang on to win in that game. Of course, D'Angelo Russell had 30 points, season high for him. Towns right behind it with 29. Gobert had a double with 15 points and 13 boards. So a really nice game by the T-Wolves. They're starting to kind of get it going too. So we'll see if they can keep it up.
Joel Embiid scored a career high 59 points as the 76ers defeated the Utah Jazz 105 to 98. Doc Rivers, the head coach of the Philadelphia 76ers, called that performance by Embiid dominant, and he was unstoppable. Lakina, Joel Embiid, when he's healthy, he could pull out performances like this, not necessarily scoring 59 points every night, but when he's healthy, he could be the most dominant player in the game. We saw that last night as Philadelphia, they're doing it without injured guard James Harden. They defeated the surprising team in the lead, the Utah Jazz, at home.
He also had 11 rebounds, 8 assists, and 7 blocks. He is the first guy to have that type of performances. Blocks didn't become a set until 1973 and 74 in that season. So he's the first player to have that kind of thing where he had at least 50 points, at least 10 plus rebounds, 5 plus assists, and 5 plus blocks. So and look, I mean, he's going to have to be kind of like the offense going to be onus on him, especially with Harden going to be out for another couple more weeks. So we'll see if he hopefully doesn't wear himself out, because that's been a problem the last couple of years. I mean, he's kind of worn himself out and then had to take games off. So let's hope that he can kind of get it going, and hopefully hold down the fourth there.
The Los Angeles Lakers win their third game of the year. Yay! They defeated the Brooklyn Nets 116 to 103 at the stadium formerly known as Staples Center. The Lakers get their third victory of the year. Anthony Davis finally showed up as a franchise player. Of course, LeBron James has missed the second straight game due to a groin injury. Anthony Davis scored a game high 37 points off of 15 to 25 shooting, and this statistic was the difference of them all, Lakina. In terms of 3-point shooting, the Lakers shot it 11 to 27 for 40%. Brooklyn shot it for a percentage of 25%, 7 of 27 from behind the arc.
Yeah, KD tried to do what he could. He had 31 points, but he really didn't have too much help. I think the closest guy, I believe, was Edmund Sumner, who had 13 points, I believe, 14 points, I should say. So really didn't have a lot of help, in that front for the Nets. So looks like there might be some issues there, of course, with Steve Nash being fired, and of course Kyrie and all that other stuff that we won't talk about that. But look, probably their best game of the season. Lakers did. I mean, they're 3-10, so there's still like a way to go if they will even want to make the play in. But it was actually a good win nonetheless for the Lakers.
Speaking of championship contenders, on the flip side, let's go up to Sacramento, where the Sacramento Kings, they upset the Golden State Warriors 122 to 115. We said this on Friday, Lakina, so I had to ask this question again. I think the Warriors had an 8-game winning streak against the Kings before it was snapped last night. If you're a Warriors fan, are you starting to worry a little bit more now?
Yeah, Steph had 27 points. Andrew Wiggins had 26. Klay Thompson had 17. And Jordan Poole at 18 off the bench, but it really wasn't, too much, then after that. But a nice sort of showing there. You got De'Aaron Fox, had 22 points. Keegan Murray had 21. The rookie, of course, out of Iowa, and Kevin Huerter had 17. So look, I mean, they're 6-6 as the Kings are, so they're not as bad as you thought. But on the flip side, though, for the Warriors, they're now 0-7 this year. That's their worst start since 1989. So on the road, I should say. So, yeah, the road's not becoming a good friend for the Warriors so far this year, especially in this, in this trip that they've been on the last week and a half, 2 weeks. So they got some home games coming up this week. So hopefully the home cookies is just what they need.
The Oklahoma City Thunder, yes, the 6-7 Oklahoma City Thunder. No, folks, it's not a typo, and I'm not making this up. They defeated the New York Knicks yesterday at MSG, 145 to 135. Tom Thibodeau is known for defense. His players didn't listen to him yesterday. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander for the OKC Thunder scored a game-high 37 points. Josh Giddey had a triple-double, and the Thunder shot a season-high 62.5% from three-point range. No, not 3-point range. They shot it
from the field.
From the field. Yeah.
They shot 50 about 55% from three. So it's still
it felt like 60%.
Yeah, I'll say, yeah. Well, if you round it up, I mean, if we're going to do the whole math thing. But yeah, I mean, look, this was a crazy game. I actually watched a little bit of this because this came on right before the NFL games, and that was just like a crazy game. People were hitting shots. Like I said, they weren't getting any stops. I'm talking about the Knicks. And look, 6-7, for OKC. I don't think anybody had that after 13 games this year. So they got to look like, you just mentioned a lot of the young talent they got so far on the Thunder team. I mean, I don't know if they're going to be able to compete for the play-in spot, but they're looking pretty good. And it's sort of like one of those things where it's not going to be an easy game for an easy team for you to beat. So for anybody, if you got them coming up on your schedule, don't take them very lightly. Philly had a pretty solid week. On Saturday, they beat the Hawks 121-109 and beat, of course, had 42 points. Seems sort of minuscule since he scored like 59 a game later, but still, a nice showing by them nonetheless. Also, too, the Heat got a much needed win against Charlotte, 132-115. They're now 6-7 this year. They've had their struggles so far this year. Of course, Jimmy Butler had 20 points. It was Max Strauss had 31. I know that's our girl Lana Tech Hours guy. And such. Greg Vincent also had 20 points off the bench. Gabe Fitz, I should say, had 20 points off the bench for the Heat in that win.
Yeah, another team that's flying under the radar. We talked about OKC. The Washington Wizards had a good homestand this weekend. They defeated the Memphis Grizzlies last night, and they defeated the Utah Jazz on Saturday.
Utah. Utah's starting to fall back to earth a little bit, so we'll see. I mean, they had a really good run, but of course losing to the Sixers and be great performance also to the before, and then they lose to the Wizards. Kristaps Porzingis had 31 points leading the way there and a game high there. So I mean, look, they're 7-6. The Wizards are, so there should be 6-7 because they should have lost that Bulls game, but I digress. But it is what it is. And the Clippers, I know some Clippers fans are still a little bit upset if they lose a tough one to the Nets on Saturday, 110-95. Of course, Durant had 27 points a game, the game leader there. But also PG has 17 points. I mean, I'm sure the Clippers will figure it out. We're in a long season. They're 7-6 right now. Some people thought they would be at the top of the West right now. They were my pick to go to the NBA Finals. I'm not worried about the Clippers. I'm not worried about the Clippers yet. Are you?
No, not yet. I know Kawhi's supposed to be fully back soon. I know he's been sending out games, and there were back-to-back, and that was the plan from the organization at the start of the season. So I'm not worried about them too much. Paul George is having a good year. I picked him to win MVP. Of course, John Wall he's starting to fit in his role right now. You still have Marcus Morris, who's over there now. You still have Robert Covington, Chicago's very own, who can give them outside scoring as well. So I did watch some of that game on Saturday after the Illini football. We'll get to them in our next break. But they just didn't have any shooting in the fourth quarter, and Brooklyn took advantage of that.
Yes, they did. So, Clippers, no trouble for Clippers just yet, but, we'll see what happens there. Portland loses to the Mavs, loses a tough one there, 117.
That was an exciting finish.
That was pretty exciting, but Luka did his thing, and look, I think he's trying to make a claim for the MVP. He had 42 points. Also had could contribute off the bench. Tim Hardaway Jr. had 16 points, and Christian Wood had 19 off the bench. So
glad they brought him back. Talking about Dallas, Tim Hardaway Jr.
Yeah, so it was really the bench that Luka did his thing, but it was really the bench that kind of paved the way for the Mavs.
Yeah, as we said during the summer league and before the season started, who's going to be that second guy to Luka? You lost Jalen Brunson in free agency to the New York Knicks, who who he's helped that team tremendously so far this year. But who's going to step up in a second role to help out Luka? Christian Wood, who's injured the last few games, he's starting to get settled in his role right now. You have don't forget Reggie Bullock, that ageless veteran, and he can still deliver shots from the outside. So you mentioned Tim Hardaway Jr. So they still have some guys. It's just who's going to step up to be the Robin to Luka Doncic's Batman.
Still to be decided there. We got some great candidates there. Going to Friday's games, you got Boston, which was that was a pretty interesting game. But yeah, they pulled away from the Nuggets 131-112. Jason Tatum leading the way for the Celtics, 34 points. And Al Horford still a little bit of fountain youth there with 21 points. Also, too, Jaylen Brown had 25 for the Celtics in that game. Tatum reached 8,000 career points at only 24 years old, 253 days, and then he's now the youngest Celtics player to reach that milestone. He joins Kevin McHale as the only players from Boston to score at least 20 points in each of the team's first 12 games in a season.
Also, too, on Friday, the Orlando Magic upset the Phoenix Suns 114-97. Paolo Banchero. I'm not going to say he's your clear-cut favorite winner for Rookie of the Year, but the way he's starting off the season, it looks that way right now. And also, too, you mentioned the Celtics being the Nuggets on Friday. The Raptors, they didn't have a good weekend. They lose to the Indiana Pacers on Saturday. Your Pacers, they're flying on the radar at 6-6, but on Friday they lost to the Thunder 132-113.
Yeah, tough week for Toronto. Look, I mean, Indiana. Look, Crowder, like he's got this. He have found a formula here too. So of course, Ben Mathurin, of course, the rookie from Arizona. He's kind of been leading the charge there as well. Also, too, Buddy Hield. Don't forget about him, folks. 22 points.
Yeah.
He'll lead the way there for the Pacers. So they may be right up there with the Bulls to compete for one of those top 6 spots. So we'll see if they can keep it up.
Yeah, and a couple of notable games from this past Friday, the second half of that ESPN doubleheader. You saw the Grizzlies beat the T-Wolves, and the Lakers, who are without LeBron James, they lost to the Sacramento Kings 120-114. The Los Angeles Lakers had a double-digit lead in that first half. They blew it in the second half there. Also, this was the game of the night from Friday. Cleveland, they were doing well on their West Coast road trip. They blew the game a week ago today against the Los Angeles Clippers. They were up big late. They had another big lead on last Friday against the Golden State Warriors. Steph Curry went off of scoring 47 points. Good grief, as the Warriors defeated the Cavaliers 106-101 before losing yesterday on the road at Sacramento.
Yeah, Curry at that game became the oldest player with consecutive 40-point games since Jordan MJ did it back in 2002. So still showed a little bit of that spring there. So but again, the Warriors went up and down. So we'll see if they can get it together. Like I said, they got some home cooking coming up. So maybe that'll help them a little bit. Speaking of with tonight's games, as we go into this week in the NBA,
Monday.
Yep, Toronto and Detroit. That should be a fun one at 6:00. A good one here between 2 young teams, Charlotte and Orlando. That's also at 6:00. And the NBA TV game, you got OKC and Boston. Look, we warned you guys about OKC, Boston. Don't take them lightly. They got some good talent on that squad. Good one here. I'm surprised this one's not going to be on nationally. I'll be watching this game via this computer screen here. You got Phoenix and Miami at 6:30.
Yeah, some people thought this should have been last year's matchup in the finals, but it didn't materialize. Wrapping up the Monday schedule, we'll have the Clippers and the Rockets meeting for the third time so far this year. The way the scheduling has been doesn't make any sense, but it is what it is. Clippers at the Rockets tonight at 7:00. Also at 7, we have Atlanta and Milwaukee. I think this is the third time they met up too. Because I know they met up a couple weeks ago in Milwaukee on the Saturday night. And so that game's at 7:00. And wrapping up tonight's schedule, Monday, the Spurs at the Warriors at 9:00. I think this should be a sneaky good one. And like you said, Lakina, hopefully the Warriors can get back on track because they have some home games coming up this week. So that rounds out the Monday night schedule.
Tomorrow, Tuesday, you got the first game of the TNT doubleheader. Should be a good one here. You got Memphis and New Orleans. That should be a fun one. Clippers and Dallas. That should be another good one. The Clippers have been struggling, but it should still be a fun one nonetheless. Knicks.
You bet that game's not on TNT.
Yeah, I know. I'm surprised this game isn't, but I kind of see why they decided with the young guys. You got Ja Morant, you got the Pelicans and Zion. So that's probably why they went with the TNT game. I guess. Knicks and Jazz at 8:00. San Antonio and Portland at 9. And the second game of that TNT doubleheader, interesting. You got Brooklyn and Sacramento. I think this is the first time in a while that Sacramento has been on TNT.
Yeah, no, yeah, Mike Bibby didn't come back. Chris Webber didn't come back. Patience not back. Vlade's not back. That should have been matched up in the 2002 NBA Finals, but that's a whole nother story for a whole nother time.
Yes, another conversation.
But it should be entertaining one. Kevin Durant, for Brooklyn, and that young squad for Sacramento. Harrison Barnes, the veteran, and you have DeMontis Sabonis as well. De'Aaron Fox, who's a borderline all-star. So it should be a fun one for Tuesday. So that's the wraps up your Tuesday schedule. On to Wednesday, Lakina.
Hump day, you got Indiana and Charlotte at 6 o'clock. Should be a good one there. Minnesota, Orlando, you got to battle some young guns. We'll see how Paulo Banchero does against the T-Wolves with Cat and Rudy Gobert and the rest of that squad. You got OKC and Washington. That should be a fun one. The first game of the ESPN doubleheader. These two teams could. I think this is the second time they've met already this year. You got Boston and Atlanta at 6:30, and you got Miami and Toronto also at 6:30.
Yeah, wrapping up the Wednesday schedule, we have Cleveland at Milwaukee at 7 o'clock. At 7:30, Houston at Dallas. At 9 o'clock, Chicago time, we have the Knicks and the Nuggets. We're start time. Start time. We assume that this game was probably going to be an ESPN, but it's not. But but the second game of that ESPN doubleheader on Wednesday will feature the Golden State Warriors traveling to Phoenix to face the Suns.
That should be a lot of fun, and hopefully,
yeah, of course, don't forget the Bulls and the Pelicans from New Orleans on Wednesday at 7 o'clock.
Yeah, going back to that Warriors-Suns game real quick, hopefully, this could be something that could get the Warriors back on track on the road. Gonna be a tough one, though. We'll see.
Yeah, and Thursday's schedule looks like this. All of them late starts. Interesting.
Yeah.
We have Brooklyn at Portland at 9 o'clock. At the same time, at 9 o'clock, we have San Antonio at Sacramento. And at 9:30, we have the Pistons at Los Angeles to take on the Clippers.
Well, remember, Thursday Night Football, I should say, too. Maybe that's why, because they're not doing the Thursday Night Football nationally. So I guess I figured, hey, let's do all late starts. I don't know.
And like I said, no national television schedule. Game schedule for that night. So there's your schedule for Thursday, and there's your schedule for this upcoming week in the NBA.
All right. We're going to be wrapping things up the last half hour. We're going to have some great matchups and upsets to talk about in college football week 11. Also, some college hoops matchups. Yes, that's already started. That's going to be coming up later this week. Also, Old School TV Monday says he's got a good one. So we'll see about that. Lakina McGee, Sydney Brown, Second Seed Sports on Sports Social Chicago. We'll be wrapping things up right after this.
This year, my mom got me the perfect bag for back to school.
These colorful binders help me stay organized.
These headphones are just what I need for studying.
These new sneakers are just what I needed for the new year.
This jacket is a real must-have.
My parents got me the skateboard I wanted. It's pretty cool.
These scissors really come in handy in art class. These colored pencils, too.
These new socks, they can be a real lifesaver.
I finally got my own phone to stay in touch with my mom.
Trisha's having a sleepover tonight. Can I go?
I wonder about Lucy's friends. What should I say? I know you're only 10, but one of these days a friend will offer you a drink. And alcohol at your age can lead to so many things. None of them good.
So can I go to the sleepover?
Lucy, I want you to promise me
I
something.
finished my homework.
Bigger promise. If there's any drinking, I want you to say, "No thanks, not my thing."
Mom.
I promise you, your real friends won't care. Deal?
Sure.
Really?
I promise, Mom.
They really do hear you.
Did you pack your toothbrush?
For tips on how to start the talk, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov. A public service message from the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration.
Hey, this is Dr. J, and I listen to Sean and Maya in the morning.
On Sports Zone Chicago, this is our last segment for today. Last segment for the show. You can get at me on the Twitter and the IG at SidKid80. Once again, at SidKid80. That's SIDKID80. That's SIDKID80.
You can follow me at Keenan McGee on the Twitter and at Keenan McGee on the IG.
If you want to get at us during our last hour, last half hour, I should say, of this extravaganza we call it Sports Talk Radio Show, you can get at us via the Twitter. No, not the Twitter. I can't talk today. You can get at us via the Sports Zone Chicago's Facebook page and Sports Zone Chicago YouTube. There we go. So type in your question or comments in the comment section. Lakina will get the up on the screen for you. Lakina, let's go into the world of college football. Let's start out locally where the Fighting Illini, they are now 7-4 after losing a tough one at home on senior day to the Purdue Boilermakers by the score of 31-24. Aiden O'Connell had a great game for Purdue. He had 3 touchdown passes over 245 yards passing. As we talked about on Friday, Lakina, the Illini secondary will be tested. They actually held up pretty good in that first half, but in the second half, it was a big turnaround for Purdue. Illinois tried to keep up Chase Brown, their star running back, a borderline Heisman candidate. He injured himself on the last play of the game where Illinois was trying to make it a closer game. They was trying to tie it up. Of course, they came up short. Lakina, I'm still proud of this Illinois team, but they really dropped the ball these last 2 weeks. It wasn't like they've been blown. Now, this defense statistically has been number 1 in the country in all the important categories, but Michigan State got the best of them in the second half last week. That's the same thing that happened to Purdue, but this time Purdue kept up offensively.
Yeah, Aiden O'Connell had 3 touchdown passes. Devin McCovey, 106 yards. They really couldn't stop him. 106 yards, a touchdown. Payne Durham had 2 touchdown catches for the Boilermakers. It was their defense. I'm talking about the Boilermakers that kind of kept Illinois, sort of at bay. Kieran Douglas had an interception for them. Look, I didn't get a chance to watch this game, but I think Illinois picked the worst time. Picked the worst time to have their worst game this season. Chase Brown did try to get it going, but unfortunately, I think he injured his ankle, so he's questionable now for that game against Michigan. You got to face Michigan coming up, and they're on a mission too. So, like our buddy Matt Zahn said on us, who's worked for CBS 2, said it best.
Friend of the show.
Yeah, exactly. Oh yeah, him too. Oh yeah, he is that too. Purdue, Illinois, Wisconsin, and Iowa, all 4. Well, actually, Minnesota and Iowa now, I should say, not Wisconsin, but all 4 of those teams are still within striking distance of the Big Ten West. It seems like nobody wants to clinch that division because they know that whoever wins, they got to face whoever. I'm assuming they're still undefeated in the next couple of weeks when they meet Ohio State and Michigan. So it seems like nobody wants to win that division. So Purdue's in the driver's seat right now because they got the tiebreaker against Illinois. So still a lot to be decided there in that division.
Yeah, and Purdue has a favorable schedule too. And so you assume they'll win that next 2 games. And Illinois, they have a tough road ahead of them. Like you said, they'll face Michigan next week. That's an 11 o'clock Chicago start on ABC. So no primetime game because Illinois lost their last 2 games. So there's going to be a 11 a.m. Central Standard Time game from the Big House on ABC. Just note that, and we'll remind you again on Friday. Lakina, let's get some to.
Purdue's at Northwestern Indiana. That's why it says that on the schedule. So as long as they don't have any slip-ups, as long as they don't have any slip-ups, that division, Big Ten West division is theirs.
Mm-hmm. So we'll see what happens with that. Going back to the other big games from the world of college football from over the weekend, Week 11 action, Georgia had no problems with Mississippi State, 45-19. Mr. Stetson Bennett from Georgia, 289 yards passing and 3 touchdowns. And Lakina, the Georgia Bulldogs did the majority of their damage in the second half, scoring 28 points to second half, outscoring Mississippi State 28-7.
Yeah, not really do too much. Like I said, I didn't really watch this game because I knew Georgia had it. Those 19 points for Mississippi State. They came like near the. They stayed close for a little bit, so they did kind of keep it close. It's sort of like breathing down the necks, but they did get kick it into gear in the second half, scoring 28 points in the second half. I'm talking about Georgia, so they pulled away there. So not really like too surprising.
Yeah, back to Big Ten action. Number 2, Ohio State takes care of Indiana from big news Saturday, 56-14. CJ Stroud, clearly a Heisman favorite, had 5 touchdown passes. One of them was to Marvin Harrison Jr. He had 7 catches, 135 yards receiving.
Yeah, he became the first Big Ten player in history to throw 30 passing touchdowns in consecutive seasons. The only other player to do that was JT Barrett, who also played at Ohio State. He did it in 2014 and 2017. So, we're going to be one of those guys that's going to be invited to New York. Michigan, no trouble with Nebraska, 34-3. Again, didn't really watch this game too much. They did what they needed to do. They didn't really need to do too much. Of course, Nebraska is really right now. JJ McCarthy had 2 touchdown passes. Blake Corum had 162 rushing yards and a touchdown. So, again, not having to do too much. It's found too much energy. Look, you did what you're supposed to against a team that you're much better than. So that's what Michigan did.
Number 4, TCU takes care of number 18, Texas, 17-10 for TCU. Their big star running back, Mr. Kendra Miller, had 21 carries, 138 yards, and a touchdown.
Yeah, they only scored. Texas only had 200 under 200 total yards. They had their chances to win that game, win this game, but unfortunately they just couldn't get it going on offense. So that was basically the problem for them. And their defense gave up too many big plays late, so that's what kind of did them in too.
Yeah, number 5, Tennessee. The Volunteers destroyed their SEC counterparts, the Missouri Tigers, 66-24. Mr. Hooker threw for 3 touchdown passes, and Mr. Jalen Hyatt for Tennessee, 7 catches for 146 yards in the score.
Yeah, 724 yards that they had, total yards that they had against the Fighting Mike Berman. Sorry, Mike. Missouri. It's a new program record. 355 passing yards for Hendon Hooker, 3 passing touchdowns and a rushing touchdown. He's the first Tennessee QB with 350 passing yards and at least 3 passing touchdowns and a rushing touchdown since Tyler Bray did it all the way back in 2011. So, safe to say they bounced back from their loss to Georgia a couple of weeks ago. Washington upset and ended Oregon's hopes for the playoff. Michael Penix Jr., of course, former Indiana transfer, had 2 touchdowns, 408 yards, and Wayne Tuliapa had 70 rushing yards and 1 touchdown. Of course, you got not really the bad bonus, but he was okay. He had a rushing touchdown and threw for 280 yards and 2 touchdowns. But unfortunately, they just couldn't get it going when they really needed to. And the defense for Washington was the one that kind of strayed the way there. And so Washington ending their hopes. And Washington, after having a couple of bad seasons, they're now 8-2. They're right there in the thick of it for the Pac-12 championship game.
Back to the SEC, where number 7 LSU ekes out a 13-10 win over Arkansas. Lakina, I did see the highlights of this one as Josh Williams for the Tigers had 19 carries for 122 yards and the only touchdown of the game for the Tigers. I did see a couple of clips of this game. It was a total defensive effort for both teams, but LSU, they didn't let that win against Alabama last week get to their heads. They had to battle this one, but they come out of there with an important 3-point win. They're 8-2 overall, 6-1 in the SEC.
Yeah, it was the Harold Pickens show. Harold Pickens Jr. Perkins Jr. show, I should say. He tied a school record with 4 sacks and 2 forced fumbles in that win again. He's the first Power 5 player to do that. So y'all get back to Chase Young, who did it in 2019, had forced 4 sacks and forced 2 fumbles. So it was definitely a defensive effort there. So they really had to do too much. I mean, look, Jay Daniels only threw for 86 yards and had an interception. Josh Williams had 122 rushing yards and a touchdown. So, but it was really the defense that made a difference there for them. And look, it was a defensive battle. So, unfortunately, but fortunately, if you like that type of thing. But yeah, it was definitely Harold Perkins. He was a difference maker there for LSU.
Staying in the SEC, Quinshon Judkins for Ole Miss had 25 carries for 135 yards and 2 touchdowns, but it was Bryce Young's 3 TD passes that lifted number 9 Alabama to beat number 11 Ole Miss 30-24 on the road.
Yeah, Judkins actually had a shot at that pass. That pass, he didn't actually get a chance to get it because they didn't throw it. Jackson Dart didn't throw it to him, unfortunately. So that can't really say that was all Alabama, but that was really just miscommunication there. So that definitely kind of killed Ole Miss. There's their chance to kind of put Alabama away, especially from the college football playoff, and they did not do that. So now, of course, Bama fans say they got an outside shot. So we'll see what the standings are come tomorrow. But just miss opportunities for Ole Miss there.
You listen to Second City Sports. We're live in 11 color on the Monday edition on Sports Zone Chicago. Sid Lakina hanging out with you, reviewing some of the key games from this past weekend's action in Week 11 from college football. Continuing now going to the ACC. Clemson had no problems with Louisville, defeating them 31-16. The Clemson Tigers scored 14 points in the second half to pull out the victory at home.
Well, we said that Clemson was going to be very happy, and they weren't. They came out swinging. And DJ Ogunleye actually had his best game of the season. So, look, Clemson still has an outside shot, but I think they're still working on that division right now. As we'll get to who their opponent will be in just a second. Now, Arizona in the UCLA's outside playoff hopes, they upset them 34-28. You wonder what happened there.
Yep.
Yeah, Jaden DeLora had 315 yards and 2 touchdowns. Michael Wiley had a rushing touchdown for Arizona. Dorian Thompson Robinson had a touchdown, and of course, Zach Charbonnet had 181 yards and 3 touchdowns. But it was really their defense that didn't, that kind of did them in.
This next game, I asked you on Friday, could this be a possible upset? Or you said maybe, but I didn't get that feel too much. It was number 13 Utah dominating the Stanford Cardinal at home 42-7. The Utah Utes scored 21 unanswered points in the third quarter to pull that game away.
Yeah, they had Stanford had a couple of shots to kind of keep themselves in the game, but unfortunately that didn't end up being the case. So yeah, Utah, look, there's a log jam there now in that Pac-12. Of course, no more divisions. So, now there's still like a log jam there. There's still a couple of weeks left to regular season. So still a lot to be decided. Utah's got a tough one this weekend, so we'll see. Yeah. But yeah, we'll get to that on Friday.
Yeah, we talk about the Big Ten West. We talk about the SEC, but that Pac-12 is stacked down, especially with those couple of upsets that took place over the weekend. So the Pac-12, we may bash them for other reasons, and rightfully so, but they still got some good teams out there that they're more than just competitive. They're right there. The couple of teams, as you mentioned, with UCLA, USC, which they took care of business on Friday against Colorado. Their top teams are right with the best of the rest of them across the country.
Yeah, so like I said, there's still lots to be decided in that Pac-12. Remember, it's the top 2 teams, so still a lot to be decided there in that conference. North Carolina wins their ACC Coastal Division with their win against Wake Forest, 36-34. It was actually a real close one, so they actually eked it out late. But yeah, Matt Brown's guys, get another division title.
Yep, and back to Big Ten football. Number 14 Penn State, the Nittany Lions at Beaver Stadium shut out the Maryland Terrapins 30-0. Mr. Sean Clifford for Penn State, 139 yards passing and a touchdown, but it was Nicholas Singleton, their star running back, 11 carries, 122 yards, and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, I really didn't know. Yeah, I mean, upset alert maybe, but yeah, I think Penn State showed that they were much better than Maryland. So no letdown there for Penn State. Now, Boston College, the Fighting Tom Wallace, as I call him, upset
Or Matt
North
Ryan's.
or Matt. Oh yeah, the Fighting Matt Ryan. Okay, if you want to go a little more modern day, the Fighting Matt Ryan's. They upset North Carolina State 21-20. They had lost 25 games in a row games against ranked teams. Last winning against USC back in 2014. I think Matt Ryan was there at the time. During a time entering that day, they had a 25 game losing streak that was the second longest actively among Power Fives programs. Of course, Rutgers, it was they had 30 in a row. So a nice win for Boston College.
Yep, nice win for Boston College there, and like you said, they started off a little bit hot at the beginning of the season. They taper out late, but it was nice to see them to get back in the win column. Back to the Big 12 action. Number 19 Kansas State, they dominated Baylor 31-3. Lakina, did you see this coming? I didn't.
Yeah, I don't think anybody saw this coming.
Maybe I'm missing something. I don't know.
Well, yeah, a lot of people thought that maybe Baylor was going to kind of give them a little bit of a game and talk about K-State, but yeah, the K-State dominated from start to finish, so they jumped on them in pretty early. Notre Dame and had to eke one out against Navy, so yeah.
How the hell did they get to 73?
Yeah, that's a whole different situation.
Well, that's Christine on Friday.
Yeah, Florida State, Syracuse, no trouble. That Clemson game felt like it was about a million years ago because Syracuse they have fallen off fallen off the face of the earth there. Vanderbilt upset Kentucky 24-21. It ended it was like a 26 game losing streak. They had not won a conference game in like 3 years, so not counting the COVID year. So it's definitely a 26 game losing streak of the Commodores. So yeah, if you're Kentucky, Clark Lear from Vanderbilt, it looks like he's got something going there special. So we'll see if he can kind of get it going there in the next couple of years. But yeah, if you're Kentucky, you're not feeling too good, and if you're John Calipari, you're kind of feeling like you got some justice here. But that's a whole different situation.
Back to the Big 12, West Virginia gets a late field goal to beat Oklahoma 23-20. Oklahoma, we talked about in the beginning of the season, Lakina. You thought there would be one of those teams that could perhaps contend for the national championship. They're now 2-5 in Big 12 play, 5-5 overall. They just had a terrible second half of the season. West Virginia, you could say the same thing. I don't think they're in the same class as Oklahoma, but they're having a bad season so far as well. 4-6 overall, but it was nice for them to pick up a victory for the home fans.
Yeah, it looks like that's going to be it for Oklahoma for this year. We'll look at a nice win for West Virginia. I think this is their first West Virginia's their first win. I think like about 6 or 7 years against Oklahoma. So a nice win for the Mountaineers. Michigan State, 27-21, edging out Rutgers. Duke beats Vodtech 24-7. Pittsburgh 31-7 over Virginia. And we know about the tragedy that happened with the Virginia football team this morning. Thoughts of
that's sad. That was very sad.
Yeah, just the circumstances too. It's just awful. So thoughts and prayers go out to that football program. Of course, their men's basketball team. They had a game against Northern Iowa. They've canceled that game. Of course, understandably so. So our thoughts and prayers go out to everybody in Charlottesville and the whole UVA community there. Going back, UCF beats Tulane 38-31. They've kind of knocked them out the race of the unbeaten in their conference play. So UCF is now in the driver's seat in their division, the American.
Yeah, back to Big 12 play. Oklahoma State defeated Iowa State 20-14 in a couple of scores to pass along from the Big Ten. Iowa dominates Wisconsin 24-10. And my team, at least for this year anyway, the Minnesota Golden Gophers dominated Northwestern 31-3.
Yeah, like I said, still a lot has to happen, but Minnesota and Iowa, they both could be right there in the Big 10 West. A lot has to happen ahead of them with Illinois and Purdue, but there's a log jam there, so a lot to be decided in that Big 10 West.
Yep, and Oregon State dominates California 38-10. Oregon State, they struggled at the early part of the season. They lost a close one in defensive battle to USC at home to start the season, but they picked it up recently. Now they're 7-3 overall, 4-3 in Pac-12 play.
Florida beats South Carolina easily 38-6. shout out to Cardell Williams, Cadillac Williams, as we know him here. Auburn beat Texas A&M 13-10. Gets his first
Getting
win
old,
as head
Lakina.
coach. I know, right? But yeah, so his first win. If you saw his interview after the game, you saw his excitement. You saw the crowd. I've never seen that in the last couple of years there at Bryant Denny's. No, not Bryant Denny. Jordan Hare Stadium, I should say. I got that kick out of the mix up at Jordan Hare Stadium. I've never seen anybody this excited. Now they have to play Alabama in a couple of weeks, but if they can get to 5 or 6 wins and go to a bowl game, I hope that Cardell gets a really legit shot at that coaching job. As for Jimbo Fisher, that buyout, about $50 million buyout.
Yeah, give me $50 million. I'll be a happy man. So I can't complain too much there.
Oh, brother. Washington State beats Arizona State 28-18. I think that's about it. Texas Tech beat Kansas 43-28. And yeah, that's about it. Boise State easily over Nevada 41-3. San Diego State pulls away from San Jose State 43-27, and Utah State beats Hawaii 41-34.
Yep, so that's your recap from this past weekend's action from the world of college football for Week 11. You're listening to Second City Sports as we wrap up here on the Monday edition. We're live and living color Sports on Chicago. Sid Lakina hanging out with you. Before we get to Old School TV Monday, Lakina, you had some thoughts about college basketball, which I think is we're into Week 2 already.
Yeah, we're going to Week 2. Of course, Gonzaga beats Penn State. They played in the airship in San Diego, so a nice showing there. Colorado upset Tennessee yesterday, so a nice win for them. And a couple of games coming up. Later this week. The Classic here on ESPN. That is tomorrow. If I can get. If my
Tuesday,
which is Tuesday, yes. For those of you who listen to this on War Media, if I can get my computer up, Michigan State hoping to bounce back from that loss to Gonzaga. They face number 4 Kentucky on ESPN. That'll be at 6:00. This will be in Indianapolis. And in between, of course, the college football playoff standings will be released. And Duke, going into the second week of the John Shire era, they face the defending champion Kansas Jayhawks, also in Indianapolis. That'll be at 8:30, approximately. Of course, there's a doubleheader, so should be a good one.
I want to see how Duke performs this year. Of course, they're without Coach Krzyzewski, who's now retired. Like I said, this John Shire era is underway. I want to see how they respond this year, and will they get the quote unquote same hate as their program received throughout the years when Coach K was guiding the team.
Yeah, gotta be very interesting. These games should be very interesting too. Trying to see, there's another game of San Diego State. Of course, they're always up there. They face Stanford again tomorrow. That's at 8:00. Yep, on the Pac-12 network, so you guys can stream that on your devices if you can. Trying to look through right quick to see if there's any games of note here. Michigan and Pittsburgh at 5:00 on ESPNU. That'll be on Wednesday. Iowa and Seton Hall on FS1. Gonzaga and Texas. That should be a fun one at 8:30 in Moody Center in Austin. So that should be a fun one there. Gonzaga getting another early test for Gonzaga.
Yep. So those should be some exciting matchups to look forward to as the college basketball season is underway. You're listening to Second City Sports on Chicago, the Monday edition, live in living color. I'm Sid Lakina. Lakina, it is time for Old School TV Monday as we wrap up today's show, and let's go to Boston, Massachusetts, and let's give a salute to the Fox TV sitcom Ally McBeal. Ally McBeal is an American legal comedy drama television series. Originally, it was aired on Fox from September 8th, 1997 to May 20th of 2002. The series was created by legendary producer David E. Kelly. The series starred Calissa Flockhart in her title role as a lawyer working in the fictional Boston law firm Cage and Fish. The main character was Allison Marie Ally McBeal, joining the firm co-owned by her law school classmate Richard Fish, who was played by Greg German, after leaving her previous job due to sexual harassment. On her first day, Ally is horrified that she will be working alongside her ex-boyfriend Billy Thomas, who was played by Gil Bellows, whom she has never gotten over. To make things worse, Billy is now married to a fellow lawyer, Georgia, Courtney Thorne-Smith, who was in a previous TV series called Melrose Place, who later joins Cage and Fish. The triangle among the three forms of the basis for the main plot for the show's first 3 seasons. Although and it was a legal drama, the main focus of the series was the romantic and personal lives of the main characters, often using legal proceedings as plot devices to contrast or reinforce a character's drama. For example, a bare divorce litigation of a client might provide a backdrop for Allie's decision to break up with a boyfriend. Legal arguments were also frequently used to explore multiple sides of various social issues. Lakina, they attacked all issues at the societal issues at the time, but my late mother was a big fan of this series. I remember all the hell that Calista Flockhart got because she was quote unquote too skinny, and she told us the critics to kiss her white butt. We won't get into that too much, but I thought she was a great actress. The few episodes that I watched, of course, she had an all-star cast. Of course, we mentioned Courtney Thorne-Smith. She was from Melrose Place back in the early 90s. Remember this name, folks? Lisa Nicole Carson. And this was after she starred in the movie Jason's Lyric years before with Jada Pinkett before she married Will. She was in that movie. She was in a couple other movies as well. She played a big role in that TV series. Also, you have Portia de Rossi, of course, Lucy Liu. Before Charlie's Angels, folks, she got her start on television in that series, Ally McBeal.
Yeah, that was like her big break there, Lucy. And I didn't watch it like as it came on. I did watch it as it was repeated and such. So yeah, they really did. It was actually basically a who's who. I mean, Robert Downey Jr. joined the series. Of course, he was still going through some of his various issues at the time. So I guess he was supposed to do like 2 seasons. He only did like a season and a half or something like that. Our girl Regina Hall, I mean, that was her first kind of like she joined the show. I think it was like season 3. She joined the show. So she also too James Morrison, who I have a big crush on still to this day. He also joined the show about the same time, but as a couple of new attorneys. But it was a great showing of it. And look, just a little bit like anyone who's anybody at the time, or Christina Ricci had a guest star on the show. Michael Vartan, had a guest starring appearance. Matthew Perry, the late great John Ritter also had James Denton, a pre-Desperate Housewives. James Denton also appeared on the series, so it was definitely a who's who of folks that are that were kind of starting. Josh Groban, of course, played Allie's love interest for a little bit in that second season. But yeah, I mean, there were like a lot of. It was definitely a who's who of folks. I mean, Julia Nicholson, of course, who I'm a big fan of too. She was on the show. Also, Albert Hall. Who played who had a real recurring role as a judge. I mean, look, like I said, it was a who's who of folks. They take up various issues, of course, sexual harassment. Just imagine this show was going on during the whole Me Too movement. I mean,
that would have been a totally different in the way they would have attacked it.
I really want to know, like, what would they have done, if they had to tackle that. That was I think I heard David Kelly say once that thank God that his show ended, before that, because he would have been in a very tough spot to try and I had to do shows on that. I'm sure the pressure would have been on him. But look, I mean, it was, like I said, it was a great show for what it was. I mean, you had Allie, Dancing with the Dancing Baby. I remember Krista said
that became popular too. Yep.
Yeah, of course. She actually didn't mind doing that at the time. Now, if she would do it now, she probably would not do it now. But at the time, she thought it was cute and funny. But look, I mean, it had a great critical acclaim on Fox. It had good ratings up until like the last couple of years. It was like I said, it was definitely it covered race issues, same-sex marriage. It was like a same-sex kiss between Allie's character and Lucy Liu's character. Of course, that was a big deal at the time, which I don't get why it was such a big deal, but okay.
Right.
But like I said, I mean, they the Me Too movement, of course. Imagine if that would have been it, but that would have been a tough spot for Mr. David E. Kelly to try to tackle. But mental illness they covered. So I mean, they did a little bit of everything. I mean, they were pretty daring. And look, would a show like that survive in this climate? I know there have been some folks that wanted to maybe do a remake, but I don't know if a show like that would have kind of like. How do you feel? I mean, do you think a show like Ally McBeal could have,
I'm not gonna say it wouldn't have worked, but they will have some tougher waters to navigate because we're in a different place in our society now. In my opinion, we're way too PC. If I give a thumbs up like I'm doing now for those of you watching on YouTube. Why you giving a thumbs up? You're offending somebody. Like David E. Kelly would have had to, not saying he wouldn't have done it, but it'd been much tougher. You had to navigate through. We're living in the era, not to get too much off of attention, but we're living in an era that you have to agree with everybody. You have to please everybody. This is life. It's not possible to please everybody. You're not going to.
Yeah, it's a little crazy that I can only imagine what Twitter would have or social media in general would have been had they had dealt with the Me Too movement. Because I mean, not that I don't think David Kelly would have done a good job with it, but it would have been hard because of the fact that everything else. Of course, Allie having a crush on her ex-husband, ex-boyfriend, I should say, who's now her boss and all that, and such. So it was just I mean. When they killed off Gil Bellows' character, I think that's kind of what did it in right there for that show. That's kind of first jump the shark moment, I think.
Yeah, just a couple other nuggets. The opening theme song "Searching My Soul," which was a popular song at the time. It was performed by Vonda Shepard. She had a very good singing career, which was very underrated. She performed the TV show's theme song. It lasted for 5 years, 112 episodes in total. And it received critical acclaim in its early seasons, winning the Golden Globe Award for Best Television Series, Musical, or Comedy in back-to-back years in 1998 and 1999, and also winning the Emmy Award for Outstanding Comedy Series in 1999. And as of August of last year, a revival is in development over at ABC. Will they actually go along with it? We'll see.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the number one question. I think that I think that one of the reasons why it was there was tabled because of all this was when the Me Too really started happening was during that time. So we'll see if they actually do that. But yeah, so look, I mean, I don't think it's streaming anywhere. But yeah, hey Paramount, you own the show. I mean, come on, or HBO Max or HBO Discovery or whatever you guys are calling yourselves now.
Somebody
pick up the show up. I mean, I'm sure it's on Fubi or whatever. I think I saw it on Pluto TV, I believe. I think I saw it on there, but so it's free. So all you need is an email to sign up. So if you see it, let us know. But yeah, so we salute the critically acclaimed Fox TV show, Ally McBeal.
Yep. All right, Lakina, take us home.
All right, you can follow me at Kina McGee on the Twitter and at Kina McGee on the IG.
You can follow yours truly, Sydney Brown, on the Twitter and the IG at CK80. Once again, at CK80, that's SIDKID80, SIDKID80. Make sure you download that Sports Zone Chicago app wherever you get your apps. Make sure you follow Sports Zone Chicago on all social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Make sure you catch our podcast at War on Anchor. We are available on all podcast platforms, including the iHeartRadio app. That's WARR on Anchor on all those podcast platforms. And give War Media a follow at WARR Media on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. And thank you very much in advance for your support.
Like, share, subscribe, and tell your friends.
Make sure you catch Second City Sports right here on Sports Zone Chicago from noon to 2 p.m. every Monday, every Friday, right here on Sports Zone Chicago. One more again, as you young folks would say. Catch Second City Sports live in the living color every Monday and every Friday from noon to 2 p.m. Central Standard Time right here on Sports Zone Chicago.
And remember, folks, you can catch us on Roku TV, whichever device you got, on your app. You don't even have to have Roku TV stick. You just get the Roku TV. If you got the app on your phone, your laptop, your whatever device you got, your Chromebook, whatever you got, just search Sports Zone Chicago on Roku, and it's all right there. You can follow our show, Sean and Maya. What's up, cuz? Coming up at coming up tonight. Of course, Sid talked about it earlier. Also, to the Smoke Fellows, you can catch that show on Saturdays. So, and also too, they've got Sports Zone Chicago is going to be doing a live remote. Well, not remote really, but join them for some ice cold Miller Lights at the Output Lounge Sports Bar, 1758 West Grand Avenue. That's right, not too far from the United Center. Doors open at 11 o'clock. They'll be watching the Falcons as they host the Bears. Cut up at noon on this Sunday coming up. So make sure you guys come on in and look. As long as you're over 21, you're welcome to come.
Yes. So make sure you give those guys a visit this upcoming Sunday. For Lakina, I'm Sid. You've been listening to Second City Sports live in living color on Sports Zone Chicago, and we will see you back here on Friday.
Go Bulls, NBA, holla.